Okay, thanks, Mohammed. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
Nice having you here. Can you just give a brief introduction for the audience?
Yeah, hi everyone. And myself, Mohammed Khalik. I was born and brought up in Kharagpur. So anybody does not know Kharagpur, so it has the largest or the oldest IT in India, IT Kharagpur, where my hometown. I did my schooling and post schooling I moved to Calcutta, and I have a BBA degree, Bachelor of Business Administration, and then immediately I started working with Wipro Technologies, and I worked there in different projects with HP, then Mastercard, as well as I would say Microsoft account. My last project was after Wipro. I started working as a training instructor to share my knowledge, whatever knowledge I've gained, and started working with a few startups. And then I thought of doing a freelancing and going solo. That gave me more freedom over it. Okay, and I'm also AWS certified. The current one, this 2 weeks back, I've done the certification, AWS Solution Architect Associate, and also the Azure admin and developer as well as architect expert. But my core expertise or my area of interest mostly have been, and in teaching point of view, is always AWS. If you see my interest, so the more I know about AWS, I don't think I know that much about Azure. Even for any program, be it Restart program or instructor AI program, authorized instructor program, or say reinvent, be it anything. And to be honest, when I was sick, means I got COVID, and then I got a good news that I got selected for AWS Community Building Program because I didn't expect I would have, but okay, I did some work post COVID because of which that helped me to get selected, although not being from technical background. So that boosts my confidence a lot. And yeah, I'm happy and I'm learning and I'm more concentrating on AWS. So overall, I have almost 10 years of experience, both corporate and then freelancing in startup, working with different sectors.
Cool. So you have been freelancing for quite some time now. How many
Yeah,
years?
I would take up full time. So the reason I've been freelancing, to be an honest side, I think the pay scale was not good when you come to somebody's offering a full time job, and I've even seen companies offering you to do two jobs, but not even paying the average of one salary. Like I've been asked, DevOps is not my domain, so I know something. But if somebody tells me to completely work on 50% DevOps and 50% solution architect, then it becomes little difficult, and the salary was not good. So I didn't took it up. But when I started with freelancing, I saw that means I came to learn more about it, and it gave me more freedom and more access to clients globally, not only in India through LinkedIn. Be it I worked with some of the clients in Malaysia, US, and UK. Money-wise was also good, and time management was also good. I was not feeling stressful. I was able to work as per my time. So that's why it was good. So as you know, in India, because there is no average pay scale or something like that, as you have in US and UK, which is legally founded as per your role. So that's the part about it I've learned, and I've learned a lot. I would say when you go through the bad phase, especially professionally, you learn, and that adds to your experience if you're starting a company or if you want to share that knowledge. So in my case, I would say that was the case. But over the years, I've learned to be patient, and I'm not anxious to get jobs. Rather, I'm thinking if you have a talent, job will come to you. That's what I think, and that's a statement in
Okay.
3D. But I'm
Yes.
not so talented like you people. I highly regard, because none of my friends who were highly, means I would say in school or in JE also got a good mark. They didn't able to get into IT. The maximum they got into some state level good institute, but not to IITs. So it's a very big thing. I know because I've lived all my life where the campus is. I've been several times, like every year spring. So I know how difficult it is to get there. And once you get there, what is the career you look for? So it's completely different.
So how did you get your first freelancing job? Like that's always a big hurdle for people.
Yeah, so the first freelancing job I got it, I could recall it was for Malaysian Institute of Technology. It's also known as MIT. When I heard for the first time, I thought MIT. Why would MIT reach out? Because then, okay, they quoted it. It's Malaysian Institute of Technology. So it's a institute, training institute. They deal with different technologies, not only with AWS, respectively, Azure, and other basic fundamentals of networking and all these technologies. And they work closely with Malaysian government. So government proposes the kind of training, then they put out a tender, a price listing. That's how it goes. And once the government likes it, they take up these courses, okay, and they give them the tenders like, okay, you can go on and teach whichever mode you want and what will be the pricing and all. So that's how it is. So I'm not sure whether that kind of program is there in India, but Malaysia is there, and some countries it is there. They, because of post-pandemic, they try to upskill their workforce who are jobless right now or who are into different domain. Okay, that's a very good initiative. So I would say LinkedIn played a very vital role for a reach. Okay, be it getting means even getting shortlisted from the CV point of view, from Siemens to Bosch Engineering in India, as well as Intel and Intel and GCP. GCP was the latest. Okay, so it does play. And from the point of view of freelancing, as you said, everybody has reached out to me from LinkedIn only. So that's how then further it takes the communication. So your LinkedIn profile has to be good, and people will do reach out. Then you communicate through Zoom or WhatsApp. That's how it is.
Okay. So what were the steps like when you decided that you are not doing the job and you are going to go for freelancing? How did you start?
That I didn't thought about freelancing. My first point of objective was to work in a culture which is very professional. So professionalism is a term which is very misused if you're in a corporate sector. Okay, people will say many things, will not do. Okay, so that's what part of it. I think that should be a curriculum in college as well as in school level, but that's not the case. So then I decided, no, I can't be hurrying up or be in urgency to take anything. Like it didn't. Just an example. Our post Wipro, what happened is that I took up a project with not a freelancing but a full-time role startup based out of UK. Okay, so there also it was a lack of professionalism, and again it happens to be people mostly from India or say. Specifically, I've seen that the trend was, especially with me, I'm not sure whether it's globally, and they are no more in Indian. Basically, they have a British passport. So what you say, at least word of mouth, you should stand by it. So if you, for me, that's what professional person is most important, and even what you say in mail. So it has to be there. So that lacked a lot. So that's the reason. And then this opportunity of freelancing came to me. Like a few institutes from India also reached out to me from Pune, Hyderabad, and other institutes, okay, as well as Simply Learn as well. I did a freelancing with them. And the other two aspects, as I said, apart from that, so when I put that into comparison to the full-time job, be it hourly wise and pay wise, it was much better. Okay, so if you give any chance to anybody, for me personally, if you ask me, so you don't have to put that much working hours compared to what you do in freelancing, and the hourly rate is also good. So I would say good. Again, country-wise it offers. So everything came from LinkedIn. I would say I've put a lot of effort to put my LinkedIn profile what it is to be. Best practices from starting changing from my profile, because earlier my profile picture even was not in that one. It was just this kind of T-shirt, not actually this one. Somewhere in Bangalore hanging out with my friends, I put that. And so that's how it is. So I made it look professional and added whatever it was there. It should be there, I would say, with the correct experience and everything, and that added value, I would say.
Okay. So people reached out to you, and then you found out that freelancing is better than the job, and then you.
Yeah, the pay scale wise, as I said, even the pay scale wise, as well as the hourly rates as well. Okay, even though I'm not charging more, I know there are people who charge. In India itself, $40-50, but in India you have to learn the part of negotiating when it even comes to salary, no matter you are highly educated or not. So that you have to learn, or else you will be underpaid for a lot of time. Okay, or say for your whole life or most of the time. Or so that I've done it. Like few people also reach out to me again. So I said, no, I already told you I can't work in this. See, you find something in my CV, that's why you reach out to me. But again, you're coming back with the same proposal, which I cannot. So I cannot use it. So that did happen.
Okay. And you primarily teach AWS and.
Yeah, it's not. It's I did Azure as well, but if I put out a percentage, the percentage of AWS is more. As you also know, the market is more, so the demand is more. It's not me. I get requirements, so people coming to me mostly for AWS and even institutes. So that's how the trend is. So If you ask me, that's how the trend is. And even for certification part, I would say that's more demanding and challenging, and as well as expensive as well. If you see the price point of view, what you have for Azure compared to that of AWS is more expensive, and even every aspect. So yeah, it's not that I haven't done Azure. I've done Azure training as well, but yeah, it's just more I have done in this one. For Microsoft also, there is one certification for a training or an instructor that is called MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer, which I didn't do it, but I was planning. Means I didn't. I just looked for the process how it is enabled. But I did enroll for AI program, which is Amazon Authorized Instructor Program. Means that's what they give a badge after you qualify for that exam. But during that phase, I got in. I tested positive, to be honest, on the time. Then I missed the deadline, and still it's in the pending zone. I would say I heard it's a little tough. I'm not sure how is it. Even if I don't get it at once, then I'll try next time, because that gives you just like any other certification in AWS validity for 2 to 3 years, and it authorizes you to take classes on AWS, okay, starting from practitioner to, I would say, architect level, and it gives more value to your CV and as well as reach, I would say, not only in India across. I would say it will bring more monetary value. You can negotiate, but at this moment I don't have. But yeah, I am currently AWS authorized restart program. That is not there in India. I think so. Not 100% sure, but that's there in UK at least, and US as well. This is a program which Amazon has started, closely working directly or with a tie-up with some of the training institute in the respective countries they have, to bring in more people, either people who are from technical background or not from technical background, to cloud, AWS cloud, to pitch it, because as the requirement is more. And that's how I got certified. And I think yesterday only I finished like a 15-day class as a freelancing. I think they might offer me a full-time as well. So I'm just for it. It's based out of UK, this company. And so Friday only, I also had a discussion with a program manager for AWS Restart program from UK. Not UK, it would be Ireland to be specific. So that's how it is. So there, the program, everything is designed by them, and it's very good teaching the student, and especially the international student, it gives a different exposure because they come from different background, and it's a mix of Indians and every other people, Scottish, British, okay. So that's how good it is, I would say, from the AWS point of view.
Okay, so how is this AWS approved instructor program? Like, is it an exam or you have to demonstrate something?
AWS instructor program is basically if you are working directly with some institute, okay, so you are a full-time employee as an instructor with some training institute or some companies, okay. It can be a big company or a small company, and they enroll you for this. It has to be from a company side. So that time I was, I gave intention to work with one of the company who reached out to me from Pune. But for the time being, they said first you do as a freelancing for 4 weekend classes, because it was corporate batch. People who were taking classes, they were working full time, so they can only attend Saturday and Sunday full 9 hours. So starting from 9 to 5. So post which they enrolled me for this program. Okay, it came from their end. That's how it is. And I had a word with there's another guy from Amazon. I think Singapore reached out to me. I think his name is Robert. So yeah, that's how it is. And they give you access to training slides for cloud practitioner, what is designed by Amazon, as well as solution architect. So that's also useful for yourself as well as for a student to understand the core fundamentals, how it is. Because I myself took training. I think I missed that part. Back in the days when I started my cloud journey, I was looking for training. Means that's how it was. Okay, and searching YouTube, and I was not the one who opted for online, and still it has changed a lot. Okay, so I'm a person who is like you can say old school, which goes for pen and paper. And if you ask me to choose between PDF file and a book, I would choose a book, as well as if you want me to choose between virtual and face-to-face, I will go face-to-face. But because of pandemic, we can't. So that time, I took this training in collaboration with Amazon, and there is they have their tie-up with the Cloud Wizard. It's there in India. So along with the collaboration with them, It happened in Bangalore, Amazon campus. It's based out of MG Road, MG Metro Station.
Mm-hmm.
It was a complete 4-day training, 9 to 5. So you come and go to Amazon campus, you start the training with including break and everything from Amazon trainer itself. So the content that I saw that time was very useful, although I could not understand every bit of it because it was too much of information to gather in 8 hours. Okay, but it helped me a lot. Even the trainer who was there helped me for a career path to take if you want to be a solution architect. What books you can refer to? Again, the books was also referred as from Amazon directly. Okay, written by Amazon. That one I left it in Hyderabad. I need to get it out the new version. So that's how I saw what it was. So it did add a value, although it's expensive if you even if you compare to Indian terms. Okay, it cost me that time 70K. Okay, but not everybody would be ready to spend. Okay, I'm not sure what's the price right now, but it did add a value. I didn't felt after 4 days class it was not good, and as day progressed, it was indeed good. And now I realize how good it was. So they have a benchmark. So even if I want to qualify, I have to be up to that level. And obviously, monetarily, it will be more beneficial to your CV as well. I would say this package wise, it will add value any given day.
Okay. So what topics do you teach in AWS or Azure?
So in AWS, I basically, as if now my core point of teaching is on cloud practitioner, starting the cloud practitioner, what is said, mentioned by Amazon, and solution architect associate certification.
Okay.
And for Azure, it's fundamental, Azure fundamental, starting from it, and then admin, and going to architect as well. Okay. These are the things, but mostly, as I said, my career has been mostly into AWS, and even whatever I did and for a community program, and further what I want to do is like SysOps certification, which was there in the pipeline since post-pandemic, but when pandemic happened, could not go for a class, then virtual examination happening and all this, and got sick, could not do it. So it's in the pipeline. In next 3 months, I'm positive I should be able to complete SysOp and professional, because at least SysOp is there in for quite some time, and professional. Till that I'm prepared myself. So I have to do that.
That's good. Thanks. So how many hours a day do you teach now?
So for this project based out of UK, I was doing the recent I'm talking about. It's as per the client requirement. So they asked me to do 2 hours per day. So I was doing 2 hours. But few institutes which I did for AWS Complete Solution Architects, if it was a weekend batch, as I said, it was 9 to 5. That include break, tea break and lunch break. So if you take tea break and lunch break, so 1 hour excluded. So that's how it is. And the one which I did with Malaysian Institute, it was 4.5 hour session every weekend. So that was a different course. That was cloud practitioner as well as data analytics fundamental. So you have one specialty certificate. In that, there is one fundamentals as well. So that's what I was doing at that time.
Data analytics fundamentals is another certificate, or?
No, it's just the fundamental before you go for data analytics specialty. Okay, so you have to start with that in order to know that, because without fundamental, it's not working like that.
Okay, so another question, like I have never done anything in teaching, so I always feel like, when do you create all those PowerPoints, or how much time does it take?
So
a big effort.
So for teaching me as well, I've never done after high school, college, and never done it. I remember post-lockdown when I was still working for some time for Wipro, and I was feeling bored. So I started teaching a few students, in my locality who were in dire need because of lockdown. As you know, students are not so much attentive because school is shut, means they will not work or not study, and they will completely spend time on mobile and everything. So that was the first experience. And this teaching, I would say, started post that and started liking it. Okay, I was doing it and I liked it. And the core part that you asked about the slides. So if I'm doing for Amazon, I'm not preparing the slide because I have already the slide that has been given to me by Amazon when I enrolled for that program. Okay, only for Azure I was preparing it, and the one which I did with MIT, they asked me to prepare, because it was not there with them. And for Simply Learn, they had their slides already, They just
Okay.
wanted me to follow that and go through it. Like they have their course structure, how it wants to go, and
Okay.
I just follow that. And for other institute as well, there are other, so they have their own course structure and the slides as well. They prepare. There is a content team that
Okay.
because preparing a content is a lot of time
Yeah.
taking as well as it's a challenge as well. I would say, right? It's not easy. It requires a lot of patience and you have to be very good with PPT. I would say with pictures and everything. Okay, so that's the part about it. So it makes
Okay.
easier if somebody has a slide and they want you to review it and then go through it. Okay,
Okay.
that's much easier.
Yeah.
So that's how it is, and the content it is. And as far as I know, SysOp is little difficult, I would say,
Mm.
compared to solution architect examination. So it took time, and I think I need to still revise those things and get hold of it and then complete. And 2 months will be the timeline I will keep for professional. So let's see how it goes. And the best thing is that being a community program, builders program, you get vouchers, so you can get
Yeah.
discounted. Okay,
Okay.
so till the time when I did for this new recent certification for solution architect associate, it was completely on me. Till now, I haven't asked for a refund or from company to sponsor
Okay.
because previously, even when I was working with Wipro, most of the, especially the AWS and Azure one, I got vouchers, and so that's how it helped me. Okay, but the
Okay.
training part I did it because they were only giving digital access to me. That was maximum, but rest is that one. So that's how it is. I think if you're working with any organization, they should upfront come and give you the voucher at least for certification. So that does help. Although
Okay.
it's not a big amount, but it does affect you. So it's good to have it.
Okay. So, how do you see yourself few years down the line? You'll be following AWS, or you have some more in your roadmap?
No, AWS will be, I think, it's just my love from the beginning for AWS. So I think there are many things that AWS is doing right. That's why it is in the path. Okay. People like me, a person like me, to be very honest, who doesn't come from a technical background, means degree wise or started completely from a technical point of view, can still learn and grow in AWS and keep it interested. I think it will grow. And as you see, the market value and the revenue wise as well, it's a 27 billion dollar revenue year on year, so it's growing. So in US, if you see the salary wise, I would say today I was reading one article, it's minimum 120 to $80, 120 to $128, sorry, $128. That's what it is. So that's a lot of money, I would say, even if you put that into US perspective, dollars or Indian
Yeah.
point of view. And I remember when I was teaching my students, a few of them were based out of London
Mm.
previously. So during post-pandemic, there was a very good amount of requirement for cloud engineers and DevOps, okay, and especially in the AWS role. And they were very keen to switch their career from different domains to coming to
Mm.
IT completely in cloud, because starting off they were getting like as a junior engineer anywhere between £200, okay, per hour.
Mm.
That's a lot of money. If you put that into Indian money, it's a $20,000 per, sorry, 20,000 rupees per hour. That's how much money they were getting in London.
Oh.
Okay, again, I'm just putting a conversion. Even in pound, if you put it 200, and he told me that the maximum they were getting £500 as well if you somebody experienced. So
Okay.
that's 50K per hour. Okay, so if you even work for 4 hours, how much money you will make? So you know.
Huge.
So yeah, so there is a demand. I would say salary was only in India you might not get that much, but abroad, very honest it was. And I would say if it was not pandemic and not traveling restrictions, I might have been outside India. But as you know, you can wait and try. It's sometimes it's up to your luck and God that you can't do anything and everything, because I remember I was supposed to travel once to Denmark, Copenhagen, because I got selected for the project for Maersk Oil and Gas. It's a shipping liner, and they are basically into shipping as well as an oil and gas. Completely Danish company, okay,
Mm.
and based headquarters in Copenhagen. But because of unprofessional behavior, politics, I could not go. I got selected from the client, and they wanted me to join in 1 month, because next 1 month would be a visa process. But my
Mm.
then manager said, I won't leave you in next 2 months. All this, so
Oh.
although the policy doesn't say like this, and so it happened. And the next time when I was working for Microsoft project, as you know, Microsoft has its headquarters in Seattle. Sorry, not Seattle, Redmond. Both are nearby, Seattle and Amazon. So it was told to me clearly in the beginning of the interview when the client round happened, because there is always a person from Microsoft who was speaking. Do you have a passport or do you have a visa? That was the second question. The third question is, are you willing to travel? So I said, I have a passport. I don't have a US visa. I know what kind of visa is required, but yeah, I'm willing to travel. But a pandemic happened, but the updates never keep coming. Okay, the transparency was not there, and ultimately, what reply I got was there is, I would say nobody would accept it. It's just that they told me that they have funding issues or revenue issues. Means it's completely unacceptable. Means in terms of large companies saying like this. Okay, and I even know how much it costs. It doesn't feel like that. I don't know. A lot of my colleagues have been or senior have been, and I know what is the visa cost and the whole process, everything. So that's how it is. If you're experienced, you know how to deal with it. If you're a newcomer, it's up to you. So experience teaches you a lot, and that's what makes you more mature. So you can learn from it and not stress out. That's what I would
Okay. Yeah, so like next question is about the newcomers to the industry. Like how would you advise somebody just about to join the IT industry?
So if you're joining IT industry, I would say best is to try service-based industry. Okay, not the service-based. My apologies. Product-based. Okay, any product-based company, salary-wise, will give you good hike. Okay, or the joining offer as well will be much more compared to what if you will join any top 3 or top 5 IT company. I think TCS would be an exception, and most of the companies are now putting a notice period of 3 months. That is too much. I don't think many company would wait for that long in order to hire you for a 3 month. That's a entire quarter. So I would say you should try for product-based company first of all. Okay, if it's good, even if you don't get to product-based company or whichever company, try to work in technologies which you love. Okay, or the trending technologies. Okay, and also work on the basics of it. These are the few things that would help you a lot. And try to be professional. No matter the other persons are unprofessional, you can get it in mail or record, whatever, but don't be unprofessional. That will not add value to you and also not be a good impression on others. So from your end, you can be professional, but there will be ups and downs and so many things will happen. So either you speak up or be there. So that's what, for me also it happened, and it takes a lot of time. Although people think if you're a girl, you're not spoken, and if you're a boy, you can be outspoken. I would say, although I was a boy, it took a lot of time for me to see things how it was and to be upfront and confront those people. Okay, and then ultimately decide. So you should always be doing that. Okay, not let somebody bully you and be unprofessional as well. That's what I would say, and always do work on research on topics that you want to do. Okay, as well as industry you want to get in. So try for that, and there is no shortcut. I would say I've given a lot of interviews. So coming from that point of view, I would say I got, even after that much of experience, I know every company has a different requirement. I got rejected by Siemens. I got rejected by Bosch. Bosch was a little difficult. Bosch Engineering, they were wanted me to hire for Azure, and I didn't have that much experience. Uh, okay, and I got rejected by Google Cloud Platform. Okay, although they reach out to me, but I don't have any certification on GCP. Okay,
Oh,
but I don't know. They might have looked my profile and saw that I am good with AWS and Azure both, but I don't have GCP certification. I don't have that much knowledge. I would say 10% or less than 10%. I know about it. I'm still to touch base on that one. So that got rejected. That HR, and there is another HR reaching out to me. Okay, you would like to join the GCP center in Hyderabad. I know where is it because I was working out of Hyderabad. So I thought, yeah, it's a good option because Google has a different work culture, as you know, in terms of like the best part is that they provide meals completely free, whatever you want, three different, every day it keeps changing and it's completely free how much you want. And the work culture obviously is different. And, you know, associating yourself with GCP and anything company, that would be added advantage, but it didn't happen. So yeah, it happens.
okay.
At times you feel bad, but rejections are there and you might, I myself know how many interviews I've given and how stressful it was, but Now when I see people reaching out to me for weekend training and this training, that training, so that's how it has to be, and you have to be patient. Even some people do reach out to you, especially from the HR perspective. In between, they will okay, won't respond you, or some reason they will not bother you at all of a sudden. Okay, so that also does happen. So you have to think how you want to change things up and take it up front. So these are the key points I would like to share as experience, and I know over the years it has changed a lot. And I've never stopped working for so long. I would say since I have my career, means I've worked. I'm not sure for how long I've stopped working, because when I got infected, and there was some leave vacation post Wipro in between, there was little gap. Apart from that, I've never stopped working continuously for 10 years. Means I used to take even the vacation for maximum 10 days, not beyond that, even
Oh,
for any marriage, family marriage. So
okay.
that's a maximum. So that's how continuous I was. It was a routine that I need to eat anything in 30 minutes, that I made it a practice. So,
Oh,
so how it is. Yeah, but two things I would like to tell you health wise for anybody who's joining apart from work culture. Don't stress out too much and never compromise on your eating and sleeping. Okay, that's what I did it from the beginning. Uh, Long time back, I would say post 10 years, I used to always put my phone in sleep mode whenever I'm sleeping, no matter it's an emergency. I know it can be my parents might be calling, somebody might be calling, but I don't pick up. And I eat healthy food and try to eat a lot, okay, as well as do some exercise. If you keep these two things, if you're working in IT industry, because if you're in any role, you have to continuously set minimum for 8 hours. So do take break and take care of your health. In the long run, ultimately health is wealth, because company might replace you with somebody better or somebody who is underperforming, okay, in place of you, but you cannot replace and in your family. Okay, so in your family
yeah.
you cannot be replaced. You can be your father, son, or anybody. So that's how vital it is. So always be neat to that. Okay, keep importance of your health, and no matter how big a company is, it's like that. I've not worked with Microsoft and Google and Amazon directly. I don't know what's the culture there, but I'm just saying about the IT companies in India. So you have to be very, very. And when you do freelancing, as you grow and if you think, so I was not even knowing how to create LOI, and that is letter of intent, before you get into
Okay.
agreement to anybody. That also I learned myself, started doing freelancing. I never did invoicing. I learned
Okay.
invoice. Okay, that was not even my area, although I am from BBM, but so situation makes you, I would say, learn things. Okay, now you know how to do things. So even you can advise somebody who can. So it's a learning part, everything, and it teaches you a lot as you go.
So how did you learn invoicing and LOI?
Uh, LOI myself, invoicing myself. I just asked for my friend who was into, I would say, logistic. Okay, but
Okay.
rest all I did Google. I think Google is the
Google.
best place to do.
Okay.
You get an idea what it is, then you can draft it in a notepad, or
Okay.
sorry, in Word, or you can convert it into PDF as well, because agreement will be your conditions, what you want to put it, what you want to know.
Okay.
But just for understanding, you can see some samples in from Google, both invoice and this thing. So that would help you. And sometimes this institute itself will send you out the invoice. They have their own format. You just need to fill things like your address and all these things. So that does help a lot. Okay, so that does matter a lot. And even for training, the most common thing they ask you, like for interview, they ask you for an interview for a production role, if they want to hire you for any company. But for any training institute, they will ask you for a demo. You show some slides or you show some console. It can be Amazon console or Microsoft Azure. You show them what you know and speak, talk to them about the topics you want to discuss. So teaching is all about, I would say, how you can convey the technical aspect in a layman's language. That's how it is. Because
Okay.
some of the students are fresher as well. Coming to this point, I forgot to tell you that I remember I was teaching this one of the student who has a PhD in mechanical engineering. Okay, and
Oh,
also a patent. He was my ex-student. He happened to be from London. Uh, is an, I would say, NRI, not an Indian. He has a British passport now. So because of, he used to work for JLR, that's a very big company, and because of recession, or I would say COVID, he lost his job and he was into it. And he even showed me in Google the patent. Okay, so I was very
Oh,
shocked. I've never taught somebody who is so qualified. I mean, getting a
oh,
PhD because he has his graduation, BTech, MTech, and PhD all in same technical, mechanical.
oh,
Okay, then the patent. And I highly regard somebody who is having a master's or qualified from any premier institute, just like you, or one of my colleague who is passed out from IIM Bangalore, I guess. Yeah, IIM Bangalore. He was
mm,
my school friend. We used to sit next to next. But yeah, then on later on he moved. So that's how it is. So it's
mm,
good. So I haven't decided. Means I used to. I was planning for masters, but I didn't take it at full time. Okay, because of reasons. I was thinking whether to go online or not. Okay,
mm,
but I think no upgrad was an option. Then ISB was a good option, but it's very expensive, I would say. But again, it has a standard. It is as equal to an standard of IIM. If you see the ranking, ISB they have a campus in Hyderabad and Bangalore, and it's very
oh,
highly regarded. So, but I didn't. I think I'll wait and I'll do my masters from outside India. I'm thinking if everything goes well, let's see, because I want to do
okay.
my masters. Among my peers, I would say friends, childhood friends. I would say most of them have masters. So at times I feel like I'm left out, or in
Mm,
that way. And but another sense as well, I think because of the new technologies coming into picture, I think it's not bad to have masters. There is nothing or an MS degree that will always add a value because see, I feel that learning is never getting old, and if you learn something, it's always there with you.
mm,
It will not perish. Okay, so and it will add value to you as day progress. So it's a good thing to learn something new.